Hello there. Buonasera, signori, signore. Welcome back. Welcome back to me. It's been a week and a half or so off. I have been drinking some wine, just not reviewing, but I am glad to be back. I'm going to get a couple of videos in this week, which I'm stoked about. I came across a new wine shop about an hour or so away from me, and so that was a good little venture of some new wines and labels and new people to interact with. And a new wine today I've got from, let's get in focus here, Domaine de Saint-Côme, which lies in the southern Rhone Valley. This is their Deux Albion 2017, if you couldn't see that. It is a white wine, so a Vin Blanc from the southern Rhone, lies adjacent to Gigondas, and we actually, I think that was the second wine maybe that I took a look at on Walker Wine session number 2. I didn't say that originally, so this is Walker Wine session number 6. But yeah, so a white wine from the southern Rhone. The cepage or blend on this one is 50% Viognier, 30% Picpoul, and 20% Marsanne. I'm a huge fan of Rhone Whites, especially these slightly richer styles, Viognier, Marsanne, Roussanne. Big fan. And I saw this on the shelf. I had not seen it before. I'm familiar with the producer, and it's a sizable producer from the Rhone Valley, been around for a long time. They're on their 14th generation winemaker. The history there goes back to essentially 1 AD, and it's been in the family since the 1500s. And so they've been making wine and growing grapes a long time here. This area, I don't believe it's an AOC. Yeah, it's an IGP, so an Indication Géographique Protégée of Vaucluse, actually, but it's within the Principality of Orange or Orange. And this vineyard specifically is just kind of cool. It's just across the river that separates itself from Gigondas, and they just planted it, I believe, in, would that be like 2014? So this is the 2017 vintage, and it's essentially the first time that they've pulled a reasonable amount of fruit off of the vineyard site. So more or less the first time this wine is coming to light and these grapes are coming to life. And so I saw this on the shelf, but I wasn't familiar with this SKU from them, and so I snagged it, $22.99. So not expensive, not inexpensive, somewhere in between. A little bit of a splurge for a weekly night drink for some folks, but was really excited about this and had it last night. Actually, this is day 2, but I only just tried just a little bit last night with some tarragon chicken. That was phenomenal. So yeah, anyways, let's kind of get into the wine a little bit. 2017 vintage, a warm year, so I think the wine indicates that a little bit, 14% ABV alcohol. And like I said again, Viognier about half, and then Picpoul and Marsanne round that out. And one of the first things that I noticed when I stuck my nose in the glass before I even knew the blend of this or what grapes were in it is that I thought it was predominantly Marsanne. I've had a lot of Marsanne before from both the U.S. and the Rhone Valley. And it's not particularly always the most aromatic grape for me. So in smelling this, I didn't think there was a whole lot of Viognier, but I was really quite surprised to see that there was 50% Viognier and just 20% Marsanne. But a lovely nose, and the Viognier, it's not particularly floral at all yet. And so maybe with age and also in a cooler year maybe, or a normal year, the Viognier kind of florality will stay intact and it will develop more. But I really enjoy this wine where it is and what it's doing for me. I've got hopefully a new camera coming soon, so we'll get some better imagery. and color and such, but there's definitely this kind of beautiful, light, yellow chartreuse, little straw, little green tinge to it. I would say this saw some oak for sure, and I actually switched up the glassware too. This one is I got actually recently at a little trade show. It's from Riedel and it's their Syrah glass. And last night I had this one in a Pinot glass, which kind of lets me get my nose a little bit more into it. It's a really big top part of the bowl, or I guess the head of the glass, if you will. But this one's got this nice little edge here, but still a fairly decent bowl at the bottom. Nice cup, but then it narrows a little bit at the top. And I'm liking what it's doing. It's concentrating the aromas for me in a not super aromatic wine. It's very intoxicating, but it's not highly aromatic, if that makes sense for me. So I would say a medium minus on the aromatic intensity, but what it does deliver is really beautiful in this kind of rich, luxurious, intoxicating style of wine. I definitely get this some oak influence. You're getting like some vanilla and vanilla cream and this kind of confectionery note. I read a couple of tasting notes that they had posted online from a few reviewers that mentioned marshmallow. I definitely gonna get a marshmallow. I think I'm on the segment of like a marshmallow fluff, like the stuff you get from the jar, which is a little bit different. It's almost like a little more taffy like. But yeah, there's also a warm year for the Rhone Valley, like a lot of them are now, and in general in the world. But this one, I think you get these very extractive citrus rinds, the Seville orange and Sicilian lemon, these like kind of bitter rind oils in here that really, I think, beautifully complement the richness and luxuriousness and silkiness and oiliness that this wine delivers. And for day two, and I didn't have too much out of the bottle poured out, but for day two, it's really coming into its own. I wasn't sure exactly how it was going to line up today. I don't know if it would maybe fall off due to the alcohol and a little bit softer of a wine. Not by any means old, but some of these wines don't always age beautifully, 5, 6, 7 years down the line. You just never know, but they're not particularly wines sometimes that I would lay down for a long time at least. So I was curious to see how it was on day two, and it is right there, even better than yesterday. It's just so unctuous in its approach. Essentially almost full bodied for a white. Maybe a little bit below that, but for this price point, a big wine coats the whole mouth, the whole tongue. Those who like Chardonnay and such will definitely like this. A rounder, big style Chardonnay. I hate to say the buttery style, but the style that goes through malolactic fermentation, a secondary fermentation softening the malic acid into lactic acid, but very round, coats everything. Just this like beautiful oily wave of kind of citrus and stone fruit, and it reminds me of this Mirabelle plum, this yellow plum that is grown out in Oregon. I've had a distilled spirit from it, and it really reminds me of that. This plum, but not really a purple plum, a kind of a yellow fruited plum, in the range of apricot and such. As well. So this kind of bitter oils, I love Campari, so it's got some of that bitter aspect, especially on the finish. It comes in with that phenolic bitterness. So the Marsanne and Viognier, to me, if they get ripe or overly ripe sometimes, or on that edge, they can have a tinge of astringency and bitterness to them. That may be sometimes off-putting depending on what you're doing and what you like and your taste profile. But this one's definitely not by any means over the top. And with food, it's absolutely delightful. And what did I write down here? I got brioche toast, buttercream, almost like you put on top of a cake. So it definitely has this confectionery note that's just lovely. Um, yeah, good finish, lemon curd, citrus and citrus oils, and yeah, it's has complexity to it. I haven't got a crazy amount of development in all of those complexities. They are starting to unfold. It'll be interesting. I probably won't drink this all tonight, so I'll taste it again tomorrow, see what it's up to. That might give me a little inkling into its future, aging potential or what it might be like. And but just a beautiful, rich wine. And I can't say enough about the Rhone Whites and my affinity towards them. And one of my favorite areas in the world and in the U.S. is Paso Robles, and there's some great producers out there who are making some Rhone reds and whites and all sorts of stuff. But there are some just gorgeous Roussanne and Marsanne and some Grenache Blanc, and so yeah, this fun little blend from Saint Côme. Same family for the last 500 years almost, is a great little acquisition for them. It's a new vineyard. They purchased the land recently. I believe it was maybe 14 hectares, so about 30 acres, and they planted, I think, 10 hectares, so about 20-ish or more acres of that to, I believe, all white varietals. This parcel. Heavy limestone soils. There's a limit for limestone, and like too much is sometimes too much, but most of the great wines in the world come from soils that have limestone sedimentary beds. And this one is no doubt a great example and a great start to its kind of initial debut in the world. I mean, 1 acre, 100-acre vineyard, 1,000-acre vineyard. I mean, they all have their own unique qualities to them. Not better or worse, just different. Regardless of size, I guess is my point. And so yeah, I'm loving this wine. I'd love to see how this wine for them progresses. Hopefully it stays in this price point and doesn't go up too much over the next decade or so, but I think it's definitely something to keep an eye on as you're out and about shopping. And I don't know of many other producers making wine from this principality. I'm sure there are many of them, but for availability in my area, the Saint Côme. Let's see if we can get some good light. Not so great at the moment. We'll try that again some other time. We got a new camera, but yeah, really loving the wine. If you like a rich wine, if you like a soft wine that's not overly acidic. If you like something that's creamy in texture, something that kind of just envelops you, that's a little, it's a little sultry, it's a little sexy. It's got a little bit of the X factor, I think, that is seductive to it. It's not overly aromatic or floral. It's not, laden with loads of fruit. It's not particularly very mineral in its approach. The oak influence, I think, is lovely, and I'm not sure exactly what they put in it. It didn't say online. They have a lot of information online about the property and estate in this vineyard, but not in the vinification or the winemaking aspect. But really, really happy about this wine, and I'm going to continue to enjoy it. So I hope you get out there and discover something new. Early March here in North Carolina, and it's been a little cool, been fairly warm, been quite rainy, about twice the average for February, so we'll see how things go. But thanks for joining me, and we'll have another video on the way soon. Cheers. Ching ching. Just lovely, lovely, lovely. Ciao, ciao.